Here, the intercept is the estimate of the alpha. That's the estimate of beta, estimate of gamma, and estimate of delta. What we need to look at is these numbers, okay? Remember, if an asset pricing model is proper, that alpha should be economically and statistically small, okay? In this case, it's not. We look at the t-stat. If you remember from your basic stats, you want that around 2 or low for it to be statistically small. This is pretty high, or p-value is 1.2%. That means if the underlying true data has a 0 alpha, the chances of getting a data set like this is only 1.2%. It is not surprising that these coefficients are, it's not surprising that SMB coefficient is positive. After all, this is for small stocks. But this also says small stocks are also exposed to the value versus growth component. That means that portfolio is not only small, but tends to be biased towards value stocks as well. I'm going to do the same thing for the large cap stocks now. Data. The X's are going to be exactly the same. I'm just going to change these. Because that many numbers make my eyes tired. In this case, the intercept itself is 1.9%. Oh, I'm sorry. These are already in percent terms, 0.019. It is statistically somewhat meaningful, but economically that number is small, okay? And again, it's not surprising that the coefficient on SMB is a large negative number. But this also says the large stocks also tend to be a little bit of growth stocks because it has a coefficient that is statistically significant on HML. This is large pharma French 3. I'm not, since over time the nature of the stocks change, I'm not necessarily taking these seriously, but if I were, this says Pharma French has a problem explaining the returns on small cap stocks. Part of the reason is that these premiums to small versus large have varied over time quite a bit. Let's, for example, if we did this for data since 1980, or let's do 83, the last 40 years. Let's do this. Or let's see. I'm gonna be lazy and starting January 1980, which starts on row 651. Sometimes you're going to be smart. All I have to do is change that reference. I'm not going to use the labels. Now that's K. Oh, no, cancel. Y range is going to be from K to K. And I don't want labels. And our X's are still in the same columns. So this is for Fama French 3 later. Even though it says X variable, I know exactly what that is, what those are. As you can see, that alpha is much smaller now and statistically not as meaningful. Typically, anything, a p-value over 10%, we consider that statistically zero. And similarly, small cap stocks also apparently are value stocks. Let's do the same thing for, sorry, large caps. Again, all I have to do is, I'm sorry, I'm in the wrong place. You have to be on the sheet that you're referring to. That's another quirk. Now I need it from O to O. Same deal. If you actually did this over shorter periods of time, you actually get a much better performance of Fama French. There is still some issue. There are still some portfolios where Fama French cannot explain it. And I'm going to give you an example of it. This is large so this number is too big, okay? But turns out one of the reasons that number is too big, I'm using data from the last 100 years because those coefficients change over time. If you did this on smaller windows, you're not going to have numbers like those. And over time, the size premium actually has come down in general. And same with value premium. Let me show you. Actually, I'll stop here. I'm going to leave that as an exercise to you. For example, I'm going to ask you to download portfolios that are based on operating profitability. And I'm going to ask you to see, first do an analysis if there is in fact a premium for firms that have low operating probability versus high, and then see and whether or not that can be explained by CAPM alone, and see if those differentials can be explained by the Fama-French model, which basically means you want to see if you have zero alpha, both economically and statistically. Since this is going to be a group homework, I'm going to also add in two more. We're going to do portfolios based on investment. And also, where is that? And dividend yield. Okay. And maybe momentum as well. We'll see. You'll have by, let me see. You'll have till pretty much 17th to do it. But if you need more time, I'll let you guys have more time. I just want you to have one group homework. Remember, I need reasons to give you an A because they ask me, why did you give them an A? So give me a reason not to give you a B. Let me put it that way. All right. So let's stop here. Happy Easter, guys, if you're observing it. No stock market this Friday. Apparently, it's too bloody.